Hi, I'm Roberto Martinez and you're watching Toffee TV.
Welcome back to Toffee TV. It is me, Ped. It is Baz. We are in the Winslow Hotel, Goodison Road, opposite the famous old lady herself, which has not been rocking recently, Baz. It's not been rocking at all. We are, what can we say? It is so much a Jekyll and Hyde club at the moment. Not only the club, but also us, fans. One minute we love them, the next minute we hate them. We think it's all going the right way, the next minute we're all frustrated. It's very, very confusing, isn't it?
I'm not confused today, I hate them.
There you go, see?
I hate them today.
But on Thursday you loved them.
Loved them.
Let's talk about...
I loved them on Friday, and
Yeah.
I loved them on Saturday, and I loved them on Sunday morning. Sunday night, hate them.
Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, looking at the two performances, back at those two performances. I mean, obviously Thursday night, fantastic result. Probably the best performance of the season, I'd say. It was fantastic. I mean, obviously people look at the score and say, yes, we played it against Wolfsburg and it was the same kind of score. But that night was, at times, was there was a little bit of nerves, but...
It was strange night, that, wasn't it?
It was.
That Tim Howard had a good game.
Yeah, that was very strange. More
Night.
about that later. But on Thursday, I thought from minute go we were fantastic. Okay, we conceded, but that never stopped the momentum. We kept going, and if we'd walked off that pitch 8-1 winners and Lukaku had scored 7 goals, then you know it wouldn't have looked out of place. It was that good a performance. We go 3 days later, Goodison Park against the bottom team, and we look a completely different side. We start completely different. There's no tempo. There's nothing about us really till the last 15 minutes. Now, what is it? Is it we need a grass? We need an artificial pitch here? Yeah. Is it because the differences in Europe? Is it because in Europe it is a cup competition, whereas Leicester come in and think, well, we're just going to sit deep and try and nick a goal? I mean, for you, what are the differences?
We're crap in the Premier League and we're good in Europe. I think the difference for me is the pressing game. I think of the Premier League, I think in Europe it's a slower tempo. It suits us perfectly because we're good possession side, and I think we can counter attack a lot easier in Europe than what we can in the Premier League. I think the real problem for me, and the reason why I'm really getting frustrated now, kind of the 26th game of the Premier League season, is that we just don't do anything different. We haven't done anything different at any time. We had a little flurry in January where we hit a few long balls and everyone said, we've got a different way of playing now and it's great. The fact is, and the reality is, we haven't. And Leicester City could have just watched the West Brom game, and we know that Newcastle will do the same, and Burnley will do the same, and Southampton, they'll come here, they'll put everyone behind the ball, press us high, and then say, break us down, and then hit us on the counter-attack. And we, for one reason or another, haven't come up with a way out to kind of get round it. And yesterday for me, or you know, the Leicester City game for me, just really, really disappointed me. The manager disappointed me, the team line-up disappointed me, and the way we played was shocking.
Well, I think one thing about Thursday is we played some great football at times, but what we did was we sped it up when we needed to, and there was a lot more crosses coming into the box as well. I thought Oviedo on the left was fantastic. I thought, you know, Barry had a good game Thursday night. And just all around the pitch, we looked the better side. Ross Barkley probably had one of his better games of the season. Lukaku was obviously fantastic. And as you say, we played on the break, but we allowed ourselves to play on the break. We set ourselves up to play on the break. You know, we played with pace going forward. You know, it was just such a really good performance. Then you move on to this game on Sunday, and from the start we're slow. It's slow. And I know teams will come in and set up against us and won't allow that space, but if we don't force the issue, if we don't try and push them back, if we don't try and get crosses into the box, I mean, just because one thing doesn't work, you know, once, there's no reason to not keep doing it and doing it again. I mean, we've got the players. I mean, Lukaku comes under a lot of criticism all the time. One minute you love him, the next minute you hate him. But when you love him, it's because you watch games like Thursday night where we play into his style. We played the way you talked about there in January, where we changed it around a little bit. But when we slow it down, it's not necessarily set up. Now, I'm not saying he shouldn't have scored a barrel of goals against Leicester, because he probably should have. But what it does show is when he's not having a good day, there's nobody else to sort of do that job either.
Yeah, I mean, look, in Europe the other night, he was outstanding. You know, he was big and strong. He was knocking people about. He was making runs. He was spinning. But a lot of his work was done in the middle of the park. A lot of his work was done in and around the penalty area. Great through ball for his hat-trick goal. Finished it brilliantly. Put about 6 or 7. But I just thought, you know, in the Premier League, Leicester City come here will have known exactly what we were going to do, exactly how we were going to start, how slow it was going to be. Roberto Martinez said it was too slow. We knew it was going to be. Were you surprised at any stage in that first half? Were you surprised how slow we were? I wasn't.
No.
I wasn't. So you go the game full of hope. Yeah. You go the game thinking the penny might have just dropped here. This might be the day that we start, come out the blocks fast, we knock it round. For me, he got his team wrong. I haven't slagged them too much this season, because there's been a multitude of reasons why we haven't done what we should have done. But I'm going to have a go at him today, the manager, because for me, he's just got it totally wrong. For me, and it's going to sound mad because he scored, but there's no way Stephen Naismith should have started that yesterday. We should have gone, for me, we should have really threw the cat amongst the pigeons and gone for 4-4-2. We should have stuck Kone up front with Lukaku. We should have played Lennon one side, either Atsu or Morales the other. But Bezic and McCarthy in the middle, said to Ross, sit out, or play Ross with one of them in the middle, and said to Leicester, you know, you're going to be surprised by how we play it. And the other thing for me is, I love Leighton Baines, absolutely love him, but he's just missed 3 games. He wouldn't have been playing yesterday, I don't think, if Oviedo
No, I
would
don't
have been
think he
fit.
would have. I think he was rushed.
And Luke Garbett played half an hour the other night and just stepped in seamlessly.
Very comfortable.
And the kid's back on the bench for Baines, who's not fully fit. Well, I know we're going to address the goalkeeper situation, but that's the same thing for me. Yeah. These players are just coming in, playing regardless of anything.
Well, it's like earlier when we played Spurs and we got beat 2-1, and Barry and Baines rushed back, and they both looked awful on the day, and it took Barry weeks to get anywhere near his performance. I mean, really only on Thursday night did he look anywhere near he was last season, and we've seen too much of that. And as you say, Garber could have easily have played. I mean, when we play Oviedo at left back, I mean, defensively I think he's still quite fragile, but going forward, you almost don't need a left-sided player when he plays, because he can cover the ground so fast. But I just thought yesterday we had no left side.
If you looked yesterday, and I wanted to say this to you, with Baines, every time he got the ball, the play broke down. And I can't believe him saying this, because he's been marvellous for, and I'm not throwing him out with the baby out with the bathwater and all that, because he's marvellous and he's still got a massive role to play for. They say massive role and so phenomenal and all that. Because I think he can even move into the Gareth Barry position and be fabulous in there. He's such a clever footballer. But yesterday, whether he wasn't fit or whether he's too cautious or whether he just didn't have anyone in front of him he trusted, every time we try and move it quickly, it come to him and he'd stop and bring the ball back. And it just allowed them every time. Whereas Oviedo, just got his head down and went.
But that's the difference, isn't it? Oviedo can do that. Baines can't. Baines always relied on someone in front of him. And I've said this constantly. We just have never replaced Stephen Pienaar in that position. We have people in there filling. We have Barkley going over there. We have Naismith going over there.
Okay, but why not yesterday, right? And this is a bit of a gamble. Why not yesterday? If he didn't want to use, say he thought, not sure what Atsu's going to give us coming this way, or I'm not sure what Morales will give us. He obviously fell out with Morales. It's quite clear to see, the West Brom thing or the contract, I don't know, but it looks to me like he's fallen out a little bit with Kev. Why not yesterday say to Luke Garber, right, you're me insurance at left back, and say to Leighton Baines, like, go and play further on then. So you're not having to do 90, because you're obviously just coming back from an injury. You don't have to do doggies. Give us some real width on that left-hand side. Get it out your feet and let Garber do the bombing on. Do something different.
Even for their first goal against Leicester, Atsu loses the ball and Baines has suddenly got 2 men on him straight away. There's nobody in there. That would never have happened with Stephen Pienaar.
But he didn't get out fast enough though.
No, but
he doesn't get out
what
fast
I mean
enough.
is though, you play football. If you have a natural shape, you block.
But I don't think Everton have had the shit. I mean, I've seen people criticising Atsu last night for the first goal. He does brilliantly, turns away from the fella. He's a toe away from getting Wes Morgan sent off. If he knocks that past Morgan and it's taking Morgan's off, and we're 1-0 up, they're down to 10 men. As it happens, it's a great block tackle. But as the ball breaks wide, Baines is slow to react. He's slow. He's got to be out there fast. But we haven't had shape.
Even Atsu wasn't playing left side. He was playing tucked inside. Yeah. It was such a weird.
He kind of come on and went in the 10.
Yeah, it was
then
weird.
He was on the right. At one time, he was on the right with Lennon.
Now we've got Morales, Atsu, and Lennon, and they're all very, very similar. They're pace players, and they all seem to play on the same position as well, right-sided. There's no one on the left to actually...
But Atsu's left-footed.
I know, it's so annoying. It drives me mental that we haven't replaced Stephen Pienaar, who is one of our better players, who for so many years with Leighton Baines made us tick, and we haven't replaced him.
Well, how can you replace him?
Well, you replace him with a similar player at least, and you say, go and play on the left. That's your position. That's what you're used to.
You mean like for like in terms of where he's playing, not like for like as a player?
To give us a shape. Yeah. I mean, it's so embarrassing watching Naismith go over there or watching Barkley go over there and try and fill in a role when they don't. And the manager refuses to. He always has to have like 2 number 10s in the team.
For me yesterday, the Naismith thing, let me qualify it because I know people will be screaming because he scored and everything else. And he's been great this year goals-wise. I think personally he's dropped off a lot lately. I don't think he's playing anywhere near his level. He'd put a great shift in on Thursday. He was very good on Thursday night. But for me, he would have been key yesterday with half an hour to go. Even 35 minutes of coming off the bench. He'd have been sharp because he's bright and clever. I mean, later on, a couple of our best moves come from Naismith. But imagine him coming into that game after 60 minutes when they're tiring a little bit and being that bright because he will get you goals.
But also when he scored, he was playing into a position that he should be playing. That's more of a position. He was playing right off Lukaku. That suited him a lot more.
Even if he's playing, even if he felt yesterday, I can't drop Stephen Naismith, go and stick him right alongside Rom. Yeah. Go and say, they've played with 3 centre-halves, didn't they, yesterday? Their 2 centre-halves should have been taken up. So Rom should have been on one, Naismith on the other, and we should have made our shape.
It does feel like, again, that we're trying to put all these players into a team and accommodate them rather than putting players in the positions, and that was something that we didn't see last season in Martinez's team. He played a system that suited people. Your Barry, your Barkley, your McCarthy, it all worked. All the players were in the right place. This season just doesn't feel like that. He feels like he's putting round pegs in square holes.
Next time we play at home is March the 14th, I think it is, and we've got Newcastle United. And when we kick off that day, we've won 3 home games in March. Well, Liverpool won that in 8 days over Christmas.
We've won 3 games in the last 3 months, exactly to the day.
We can't.
That's scary. That's really scary. And I know the form has sort of got better as we got into the year, and we've had a lot of draws and we've got clean sheets. But when you look at that and you look at the gap between us and the bottom teams, it still is quite nervy. And I know Thursday night was fantastic, and those games have been brilliant, but you've got to do it in the league as well. And it's just
when we come back to Goodison in 3 weeks' time, we could be in the bottom 3. That's the facts. We've got Arsenal away and Stoke away, which are 2 tough games. Yeah. We lose both of them, and say Aston Villa. I'm not saying he will. But Aston Villa win both of theirs. They're on 28 points.
I think the biggest gripe is, I think we all thought we turned that corner. We all thought, well, we got clean sheets here and there. We went down to Chelsea. We were very, very unlucky. We have a fantastic win in the Europa League, and we thought, right, turn over Leicester, probably go and beat the young boys again, and then we're going to be facing Arsenal, and we'll all be up for it. And this feels like going back 2 steps, but not going back 2 steps in the result, going 2 steps back because of the way we played. And I'm not going to use Europa as an excuse, no way. It's 3 days. It's the same as playing, at the weekend and playing on a Tuesday or a Wednesday.
I heard the fact today, someone trying to use the Europa League as an excuse and said Everton have only won 2 games after the 7 Europa League games this season. Well, all the other time, we've only won 4 more games in all the other times when we haven't played in Europe, so we've won 33% of the games after the Europa League.
If that is the point, then, as you say, Garber comes in instead of Baines, freshen it up with players who are fresh, not freshen up with players who are coming back from injuries.
I'm really on a little bit of a rant over Bobby, because I've accused another manager in this city of being a bit of a
charlatan.
I'm not going to call him a charlatan, but I'm going to say being economical with his own truth, because when he come in, it was all about we're giving youth the chance, and if you get in, you play well, you keep the shirt, and I'm flexible. Sam Allardyce, and I can't believe I'm saying this, hit the nail on the head the other week, because he said West Ham are more flexible than Everton, and they are. We do the same. We're not flexible at all. There's no flexibility in us. We play 4-5-1, 4-3-3, 4-1, 4-1, whatever you want to call it. It basically means Rom's on his own, isolated up front. Okay, the kid had an absolute nightmare. It's probably one of the worst centre-forward performances I've ever seen against Leicester. He couldn't trap anything. It was hitting him, and he can control it further than I could kick it yesterday. He was shocking. He missed sitter after sitter. But he's isolated on his own. The kid, he should be having someone doing the legwork with him, getting little flicks on, giving him through balls to run after, and helping him keep. If he can't keep it, someone should be there who's with him to keep it.
Not only that, if he's got someone up with him, he drags the defender away. And he's only got, we've seen that the other night.
If you're playing bottom of the league at home, and you feel as though you need 2 defensive midfield players sitting in there and a number 10 in there to come in and make it a 3.
2 number 10.
And 2 number 10. You either wide man, so you feel as though you need 9 men behind the ball. Got problems.
Another thing that annoyed me about the Leicester game is not only do we start slow, but we finish fast. Why can't it be the other way round? Why aren't we?
But that was the same against West Brom.
It's been the same against nearly everyone this season. Now we've last 15 minutes we've gone, right, we need to get the point here. Why aren't we going out the first 20 minutes and going, right, we're going to boss this game from the very start, get a goal up, get maybe 2 goals up, and get this game. But
why don't we do that at 3? Why don't we say, why doesn't he decide at 5-2 or an hour before the game, like, this is what we're doing, we're going 4-4-2. We're come flying out the traps with a formation you're not expecting. We're going to be getting up and at you. We've got 2 wingers. We're going to be flying out, throwing crosses and getting on the end of stuff. Totally mix it up so teams come here thinking, how are these going to line up?
Yeah.
Every team, the last 12 games of the season, there'll be no surprises.
Listen, I don't. Listen, we're a very average team. I don't care what anyone thinks. We're a very average team, right? Who thinks it's better than it is. It's as simple as that. We've got this arrogant nature about us that when teams come, we just go, right, we're going to pass you off the park, and it ends up going, the team going, we'll go on then, pass us off the park. See how far you get? We don't get very far, and it ends up being like it was against Leicester, or like it was against West Brom, or Hull, or
Stoke,
everyone else
Swansea.
this season. Teams that are supposed to be worse than us in every term have come here and tactically outdone us at times, and it's rubbish. And another thing about yesterday, which is one thing that's happened all season as well, the atmosphere in the ground's rubbish. Now, yesterday was a horrible, cold, wet day, and no one, not that many people wanted to be here, even though a lot of them would have been buzzing after Thursday night. Now, people talk about the atmosphere at the away games. Now, away games, the atmosphere is completely different. It's a completely different setup. People have all day to enjoy themselves and prepare for the game. Home games now are starting to feel like a bit of a chore, because you get here and you sat for the first hour waiting for something to happen to get you excited. I know a lot of people out there will be saying, well, it should be us getting excited and getting but that's hard. That's hard when you're watching slow, laborious football. Please start getting us excited. Get us going in the first 10-15 minutes.
I'm one that has been critical of our support at home sometimes, with the fact that people do just sit on their hands, but even I can't argue against it at the moment, because it's boring.
But it's not just us.
Absolutely boring.
It's general football, it's general football.
The Premier League, I mean, there was a game after ours, that you picked up yesterday, and watched that, and that was boring. I watched games on Saturday. Boring, this one striker. Well, Man City were quite good, and they actually played with 2 centre forwards, so there's food for thought, isn't it? But in general, it is going quite sterile football, but for us, and we're only concerned with us, something has got to change very quickly, but we're 26 games in.
You've got to start exciting us, you know what I mean? Because it's just boring on the game now. As I say, I find it a chore at times. I really do. I find it a chore. And, you know, okay, they come out with season tickets videos and it's all well and good. And I went to the season ticket event on Saturday night, which was great. And again, I'd say the videos all great. But then the season ticket come out on the Monday after that game. You're just thinking, maybe I won't. I mean, we will. But, you know, you
shows.
It's just right. You mentioned there about players getting picked on form and keeping the place. Now, obviously, we're referring to Mr. Tim Howard, who we've mentioned all season. We've thought all season is quite dodgy. We've been quite consistent with what we've said. We've never strayed away from it. He came back against Chelsea, and I said last week, quite publicly, I thought he could have done a lot better for their goal. Young boys, I thought he could have done a lot better for their goal.
Made a great save in that game, to be fair.
He's a goalie, he's supposed to make great saves, and I don't think it was a great save, he just made a save. That's what goalies are supposed to do. Right, we go into this game, we're 1-0 up, we've just scored. Okay, as we mentioned, Baines could have done a lot better, but the ball comes into the box, and for me, that's a ball into the box which he should just be grabbing hold of and keeping hold of it. Simple. And yet he pushes it into traffic. Right, he pushes it into traffic, something like no goalkeeper's ever supposed to do. Oh, he got unlucky because it bounced off. No, he's not supposed to push it there. He's supposed to come down and grab it.
He got lucky at 0-0 in the start of the second half when he pushed another shot into traffic straight to Danny Schultz.
You're not supposed...
The kid should have scored.
You're not supposed to push it into traffic. That's the number one rule, right? He did. He got unlucky because it hit one of our players and falls nicely.
Yeah, but he should have, why isn't he catching it? It's a ball across the box.
Why didn't he throw his cap on it? So there's number one. Some people may have argued that wasn't his fault. That's up to you, right? So another ball comes into the box. He completely misjudges where it's going. Completely misjudges it. He's a goalkeeper. You can't be misjudging stuff like that. He pushes it back into traffic. Now, again, people out there will be saying, well, yeah, he pushes it back in. The lad, squares it. Cambiaso's got all the time in the world. This is something I said about the Chelsea one. You, as a defender, you expect crosses like that to be bread and butter for your goalkeeper. You expect your goalkeeper to come out and cross it. That's what all the players are looking at. Same with the one against Chelsea when he came out and punched it. He put it out there and completely, he's lost his bearings, the defence has lost his bearings. If he
leaves that, it just goes out. It just carries on going, there's no threat.
Exactly.
But when the ball got stood up, and I don't know whether you've done this, but as it got stood up and he jumped, I just thought Crystal Palace. It just straight away, I thought Crystal Palace. So as he's jumped and missed it and knocked it to them, they've scored. I just thought I knew what was happening when it was stood up. I knew what he was going to do. He's absolutely pants at the moment.
And you know what? Other people out there can say, well, our defending's been terrible. Yes, maybe it has. But you know what? The goalie's got one job, and that's to save the ball.
Look, if he'd have been John Stones and he'd stood on the ball twice and they'd have scored 2 goals, well, they probably wouldn't have, because John Stones is cool, isn't he? He's cool, well, so people let him get away with it. If it had been Phil Jagielka...
Well, I was very critical of John Stones.
Oh, no, but a lot of people... He's cool, so people won't... They have people who aren't cool, and they have people who are cool, who they get on. If it had been Jagielka, he'd have been lambasted. Gareth Barry would have been... He'd have had to be on the witness protection now, Gareth Barry, if he'd done that. So, for me, Tim Howard, totally inexcusable. But it's the manager's fault. We played... Howard got injured... We were calling for him to be replaced before Christmas because he wasn't playing well, and it doesn't matter. It's not Tim Howard. Don't get precious over anyone.
Can I just clarify that of not playing well? It's not that he's not playing well. He wasn't playing well, right? I have seen a steady decline in the last 2 years. I've watched it. It's not that a lot of people out there going, well, he's just not in form. No, I have seen a steady decline.
Look,
I've seen his reflexes get worse. I've seen him make poor decisions.
But he's always look, he come from United and he was better than what we had, right? And he's been a good goalie for Everton, but he's always had those mistakes. I blame him for the Frank Lampard goal at Wembley, the winner. I've never, ever forgiven him for that because it was outrageous. I've seen him throw balls in the net at Aston Villa in the last minute when he should have caused it. He's made lots of mistakes, but he's also made lots of very, very good saves. For me, you can talk about the decline, that's fine, but what I'm just focusing on is form from August through December, like that little American bit there through. And he should have come out the team because he wasn't playing well, and that goes for anybody. Any player who's having one should be dragged out. He gets injured. Joel comes in. People are giving it the big boo-hoo Joel and all that, but Joel shows how good that he's a competent goalie. Not only that, he then turns in 3 clean sheets and therefore is in on merit and is pulled out. And since he's been pulled out, we've left 4 goals in 3 games.
The other thing about Joel is, right, we were all very nervy. Everyone was very nervy because of past performances. Everyone was very nervy. He gets in the team and what you see is the opposite. You know, Tim Howard's going that way and Joel's going that way. He got better and better and better. Confidence rose. The players
It's just little things like the second goal yesterday. He'd have just caught that because he's massive. Yeah. The Chelsea
or he'd pushed it over.
He'd have done something proactive with it.
He got better and better, more confident. The West Ham game, he got that first saving. The confidence rose. He was punching Andy Carroll in the head. He was going through people left, right and centre. He was making himself bigger and better for every game. Crystal Palace, he was coming out and he was grabbing all kinds when it was getting towards the end. He was calming things down. People see, this is another thing I have about Tim Howard, right? And I've seen it with Joel. People look at instances where he's made great saves, and I look at it the other way when I go, well, go 2 steps back and look at the situation where, go back to Old Trafford. The goal wasn't, their winning goal was because Tim Howard decided to do something rash, come out of his box and kick it into the stand, was suddenly out of position and they scored from it.
But he didn't kick it into the stand, kept it.
Sorry, he kicked it down the line when he should have kicked it into the stand. He created panic, and that's what I'm saying. What Joel did when he came into the side, after a little shaky start, he started to calm things down. He started to come out and catch things rather than punch it. And he just calmed the situation.
Look at the derby here. You know, he makes that save from the great reaction save. But near the end, when Liverpool had a few free kicks and Gerrard's bending them in under his bar, he just come above everybody and was taking crosses. And even at Palace, how big they were launching everything, he was coming and getting it. And like you're right, he just takes that pressure away. And at Chelsea, if we'd have got through to that final minute and it was the way it was and he was in goal, he'd have probably come and caught that cross. You know,
listen, I think personally, this is not some people out there may feel like I'm getting on his back or it's a vendetta. It's not a vendetta. The worst thing you can possibly do as a fan is watch the decline of a player to the point where you start disliking him. Now, I think Tim Howard, fantastic servant for Everton. What he's done for Everton, what he's done for America, and how he's lifted Everton's stature in America, it's all fantastic. I don't want to be in a position where I start disliking him because of his performances. That's happened with other players, and it's not what you want. But again, you just mentioned the manager. A lot of this falls at the manager's door. He took Joel out the team. He brought Tim Howard back, and personally, I think it's ruined.
What I think it's done is it's just give the wrong. For me, it's give everybody the wrong message. It's give the opinion now that he just looks after his favourites, and that was a criticism people had of David Moyes. And this fella came in and it didn't really seem like that last year. It seemed that he was bright and full of inventive ideas and he had a plan and he knew what he was doing, and people would get in and stay in on merit. And that's how everyone was buying into it. And this year he's I don't know whether he's become nervous of second season, or he's just not seeing us as bright as we were and he doesn't know how to arrest it, or he's just thinking we're in trouble, we're going to play all our experience. It doesn't work like that. It's a spark. Listen,
I look at a team like Man United, right, who are in the top 4. I don't think they're a much better side than we are at all, with all the attacking options they've paid for, with all the money they've spent. I don't think they're a much better side than us. But when they were going through a tricky spell at the beginning of the season, the man who kept them in a lot of games, as we witnessed to ourselves, was De Gea. And he did the job that he gets paid for. He made great saves when everyone in front of him was letting them down. And that's what a goalkeeper does. You can sit there all day and you can watch and you can go, well, Bain should have done better there and this should. But at the end of the day, if your goalkeeper pushes 2 balls out to their players that allows them to score, then the goalkeeper has got to be questioned, because that's the goalkeeper's job. His job is to save. You know, you might have a terrible goalkeeper in goal who mightn't get near a ball all day because his defence is great in front of him. But what you need is, you have got a shaky defence or a shaky team as a goalkeeper who does his job. And I'm afraid Tim Howard, for me, hasn't done that at all this season. He's had one great performance, it was against Wolfsburg. And for every other game he's done something.
I think more and more people are coming. I've seen, like, people have been talking today. Andy Gray said today that, you know, he should be dropping out till the end of the season, because what you're trying to do is, it's not about, Tim Howard might come back fantastic next season, but if you're getting put in when you're not playing well, you know, first of all, Martin, all he's done is just heaped a hell of a lot of pressure back on Howard's shoulders by taking a lad out who's performing well. So you're putting someone back in who's not in form, returning from injury, hasn't really played any games, and you put them back into a side that we can't afford to give points away. We can't afford to. We are in. If we were 9th on 40 points now, and you'd look and go, we're not going down, we're probably not going up, we're going to finish mid-table. You can, you know, mess around with it. We need wins. We need points.
And you know what? Yesterday we might have got a scrappy goal, and you say we might have been playing a better opposition, and you've got to say, right, we're going to have to defend now. A little bit like at a Palace at times, where you can say we've got to defend now for the next. We can't afford any mistakes, and a team will naturally be better than you. Some teams, and you've got to hold on, and you've got to have match-winning saves and match-winning blocks and all the rest of it, and then someone goes and throws one into the back of his net. You just can't have that. And do you know what the biggest thing might come out of this? Where people look at Roberto Martinez and go, listen, I'm not having you anymore, because you've made that one decision and it's cost us all kinds. So what other decisions are you going to make? And I think that's an issue.
I think I do feel as though I'm not saying we're advocating them getting the sack or anything like that, but I think people are now at that point where they're looking, going, hang on a sec. Fans aren't stupid. They pay the money, they travel up and down the country, they've travelled fantastically abroad this season in numbers. And okay, we haven't lost a game in Europe away from home, and they've been rewarded with that. But in the Premier League, they go here, there and everywhere, and they see the same mistakes. And you know, that stat was out today that we've 13 goals we've given away directly, and Tim Howard is responsible for more than 50% of that, which is an incredible stat. It's an incredible stat for one player.
It's simply not good enough. And yesterday, when especially the second goal, a lot of people started shouting abuse at Martinez and not Howard, because at the end of the day, before Joel came into the team, people looked at it and go, well, it's Howard, but the only option is Joel. And people were starting to go, well, that's fair enough. And
I don't think they thought he was an option, did they?
No one thought he was an option. And he's come in, he proved himself, and now people are saying, rather than having to go Howard, they're going, Martinez, this is your fault. You know you've got a better option on the bench there, or an option on the bench, and you've made that decision. Tim Howard hasn't been great all season, but he doesn't pick the team. You do, and you've seen there's a better option out there. And I think 75% of the fan base, if they pick the team, which it's a good job they don't most of the time, but if they pick the team, they turn around and go, we want Joel in goal. And there is clear proof that decides that. And that's my biggest worry.
That's the new song for him.
Oh, the new song for Joel is amazing. It's amazing.
Well, he's got a song, so that tells you. He's got a song. And it's a positive song, so that tells you.
People want him in the team. And you know, I think that I like about him as well is he's just a big unit, isn't he? He's big, and you look at that and think that's intimidating. I think one player you mentioned before and was critical of John Stones on Thursday night for the penalty and getting sent off. I think he needs to start
coming all night.
I think he needs to start realising that there's time to just boot it into the stand and there's time to play football. He'll get that with experience, of course. You will, not having a go at him. But you know what? When he got into the team, everyone looked at it and went, you know what? you're better than this, man, and and that was a big decision, that, because Roberto Martinez put his faith in the youth and said, this kid is good, and I think what we need is something similar. He needs to forget about the egos. Now, if he's got issues with Joel himself, then that's it, then Joel's finished as far as I'm concerned, and we need to buy a new goalkeeper at the end of the season, because for me, Tim Howard's finished. I said it before, sell him back to the MLS. It'll be the best thing for everyone. We'll get a little bit of money for him. He'll make lots of money out of it from the MLS.
Lots of saves there.
And lots of deals. And he'll finish his career nicely. But you know what, Tim Howard? He wants to finish off his career by playing in Russia in 2018. It's not going to happen if he stays at Everton, because he is not good enough for the Premier League.
Guzan will well overtake him.
Guzan's garbage as well.
Yeah, but he'll do better than Howard, I think, because I just think we're on it.
Listen, we've had a good moment on him. Nothing personal, Tim Howard, as you said. I think he's a leader.
I just think we're concerned, because if this was...
That comes first. Everton Football Club comes before any player, as I said.
This could be Jekyll, it could be McCarthy, it could be Baines, it could be anybody. If they're having an absolute nightmare, they shouldn't be playing.
Listen, it's the name on the front, it's the badge on the front, and I don't mean Hafnia, not the name on the back that means the most. That's all that matters. The badge on the front, not the name on the back. Always remember that when it comes to
If you play for the badge on the front, they'll remember the name on the back. Kevin Sheedy.
Forget about all the rest of it.
2015.
Forget about all the rest of it. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter. It's never personal.
Anyway, I've got some tweets just about this while we're on it. Okay, at Manny_AFC, blame the manager. We've took a step forward last season. We've taken 6 back this season. At Nate 1878, I think Roberto needs to go. Thought we were turning the corner, being tough to beat. Then he puts Howard back in, lost it with that. At Coldy 7, it's like a never-ending nightmare this season. Can't wait for it to be over. Martinez has lost the plot. Boyet 316, good season, bad season. Bad season also happened under David Moyes. Makes me think it's not just Roberto tinkering. And that Lelushikins, I think it is. Martinez is a joke. Howard needs to leave. Baines' time is coming to an end. Lukaku had a mare, and both centre midfield players were rubbish. That was his take on the game.
That's fair enough. There are people's opinions. Got no problem with people's opinions. Keep them coming to us at Toffee TV1 on Twitter. Also, in the comments below this video, make sure you get in touch with us and let us know what you're thinking there. Obviously, Young Boys coming up on Thursday. Hopefully that'll be a victory, because we need the confidence. I don't think we can afford to maybe get beat 1-0 or whatever. I think we need to just
to win a game at Goodison Park, because it's been a long time. We do. No, but
it is. I know.
What it is the players now, for me, the players now are coming out, and I remember Aidan Heath saying before we turned the corner in '83 that it's such a difficult place to play Goodison when you're not playing well as a home side, and I think the players are dreading it a little bit here. I think we might find more relief on the road in this last few games.
I tell you what I'd like to see on Thursday. I'd like to see Joel in the side. Anyway, I'd like to see Garbett in the side. I'd like to see those players. Kone. I'd like to see. I don't want to see loads of changes, but I'd like to see them playing. Obviously, I think probably Alcaraz will play as well.
Barry, I'd like to see that.
No, I didn't say I'd like to see it. I think that's what's going to happen. Barry will be in the side as
we need to win the game.
Saturday, Emirates. Sunday, Emirates. It's going to be a tough game, but I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be as hard as people think as such, because I think they're a bit of a mad side as well. But what I think it will allow us to do is play on the break a little bit, which suits us. I think that's our best way of playing.
No pressure. They will dominate the ball because they're probably one of the best teams at doing it. But they're frightening up front.
But I tell you what, it's not.
If Howard's in and they're Giroud and Sanchez and people like that, Otzil, and I do fear for us.
I tell you what it does though. It's one of those games where you look at it and go, oh, it's a throwaway. It's not a throwaway. There's no throwaways anymore. You can't say, oh, we'll get beat here, there, and everywhere. There's no such thing as a throwaway now.
If we can kind of squeeze the game like we did against Chelsea and hit them on the break, Rom, might take a couple of chances this time. You never know in the importance of that game. If he can do that, then we've got a chance of getting something there, you know. But the worry with them is they're far more flamboyant than Chelsea. Chelsea are like a mechanical side. Arsenal are very organic.
Sorry, I've just got visions of them having like feathers in their hair and coming out with like Hulk Hogan's attire on and stuff. That kind of flamboyant.
They are though, aren't
Rio Street Party kind of flamboyant.
They are. They're all lovely.
It's going to be a tough game. I think it actually probably suits us a lot more than games at home against the likes of Leicester.
Look, there's no pressure, is there? We're not at home, we will go away.
Unfortunately, you say there's no pressure, but we're actually heaping a lot of pressure on ourselves.
No, but we're not at home, and that takes a bit of pressure off, doesn't it?
That's a sad thing to say as well. Quickly before we go, got something to plug for the Winslow?
We have, it's the Winslow charity night. Race sponsors are welcome, Dave's reminded me. It's in aid of health through sport, which is something Ronnie Goodless is involved in. It's on Friday the 6th of March, doors open at 6:30. The first race is 8 p.m. There's raffles, auctions, Everton memorabilia. It's £5 a ticket. You can access more information at the Winslow Facebook page, or on Twitter,
health
the Winslow.
Sport. It's a charity.
It's all good, mate.
It's a charity.
There's a lot
Ron
for charity.
Goodless is charity. Make sure you get involved in that if you want to. There you go. Oh, well, do you know what? I was really looking forward to this show coming into it after Thursday. Yes, positive, we'll beat Leicester. Hasn't quite turned out like that, but we're still rolling the Europa League. That's the main thing at the moment. Hopefully Thursday a victory. Hopefully Sunday positive results.
Might win at Arsenal and Stoke, and then there'll be nothing to worry about.
Right, you have been watching Toffee TV. Stay tuned now. This isn't the end of the show. Stay tuned. We've got a couple of special guests coming on. We'll be right back.
This is Bob Latchford, and you're watching Toffee TV.
Welcome back to Toffee TV with me, Ped, with Baz, and we're joined in the studio by a couple of people that I wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley, and that's not to do with your faces, lads. We're here with Jazza Dickens and Steve Lewis, who are going to be on the card on the 6th of March at the Echo Arena. It is going to be a big scrap, Royal Rumble style, with all Scouse lads, no one missing. Great to have you here, lads. Thanks for joining us. First of all, 6th of March, Jazza, start with you. Big fight on the horizon. You looking forward to it?
Yeah, I can't wait. Been training for a long time for this fight, and I'm looking forward to winning the Lonsdale title in front of my own fans in Liverpool.
What's it like? I mean, what's it like fighting at home, Echo Arena? I mean, what's that like? I mean, I'm sure now. I mean, there's been a lot of other Scouse fighters, but for you personally, what's it like to be fighting at home?
It's unbelievable, especially in the Echo Arena. I remember when they building the Echo Arena and I'm walking past as a little kid with my mum saying I'm going to fight in there one day, mum. So the first title I won was the English title. That was in the Echo Arena in front of loads of Scousers, and it's a better feeling in front of loads of Scousers than people you don't know.
The only disappointing thing is that it's not Everton's ground. That's the only disappointing thing. It should be Everton's ground, shouldn't it? Ring fenced money. We first saw you, or I first saw you on the Channel 4 documentary, Knockout Scousers, just before the Olympics in 2012. At the time you were going for the Olympics, and massively on the show you dropped out to turn professional. I mean, how did that all come about?
As in football and most sports, there's a lot of politics back behind the scenes what you don't see, and I always wanted to be professional, and I came to the end of my wits really with the politics, so I thought why not be happy and turn professional now while I'm young and get a good advantage on the people who were going to be waiting to go to the Olympics but might not go and stuff like that, and they get a good advantage. There's people turning pro now who are in the same position as me who are only fighting their first pro fights now, so I'm fighting for the British title for the second time around within them 3 or 4 years.
Is that the frustration, because when you're fighting and you are amateur and you're relying on other people's facilities and being picked for those facilities? Because in the show I remember you were training in some, well, less glamorous conditions than other people in that. Is that the frustration?
Yeah, when you're on a Great Britain squad, you're provided for, well provided for, but that comes at a cost. Like you have to do what they say and stuff like that. I'm much happier training where I train with people who love and stuff like that. So I'd rather be doing what I want to do, be my own boss, and do something for a little wage, as a lot of them fighters do. A lot of them are happy just getting paid and going through the motions, whereas if you've got big dreams you have to follow them.
And you're a proper Evertonian as well, because you were born in Mill Lane, that means you were born in Everton. It's one thing I'm really disappointed with my mother about, Baz, if I'm honest, that she chose Oxford Street instead.
Didn't just drive here and have
you
just
know,
outside.
go to Mill Lane and
I was Oxford Street as well, mate, so what can you do?
Oh, jeez, no one's born in Millie.
Listen, we might have shoddy equipment, but we do research, mate. We do research. We're not that bad. We're going to get someone in. We're going to look after them properly.
Stay, not to leave you out. You're a little bit behind Jazza in terms of where you are in your career, but I was like doing a bit of research, as we've just mentioned, and you had a really good amateur career. What was it? How did you come about to make the decision to turn pro, or is it something that you've always wanted?
It's something that I've always wanted, but it got to a point where I got about to go on the senior ABAs, but I had like a 6 to 8 months where I thought I've had enough with boxing. So I ended up leaving it, then missed the ABAs, and then when I come back there was just club shows. So decided it was time to try something else and turn pro. I always wanted to do it, so just thought the time was right. So.
What have you found being the biggest difference between being an amateur and now a pro?
You've got to, not that I didn't take it serious in the amateurs, but you really do have to take it a lot more serious. It becomes your life, not just like a hobby or a sport you do. It's your job, it's everything you do, you know what I mean? So you've got to change your whole lifestyle really.
And is there much differences in the scoring and things like that between amateur and pro? Or?
Yeah, like they've changed the scoring now, but when I was amateur it was point scoring, so you could have a box round and then you could get the round stole off it in the last 10 seconds, but you're getting caught with 3 stupid shots, you know what I mean? Whereas it's totally different in the pros. You can work your fight round, your whole plan for the fight, you know what I mean? You haven't got to worry about getting it with one shot and losing the fight. So
come to terms with that.
Yeah, come to terms with it.
You're fighting Josh Wade as well. I mean, you're coming off a couple of victories. You've only had one defeat in your career. Is it you're trying to get yourself back onto that level again, where you're going to be looking to fight for major titles again?
Yeah. Last time I fought for the British title, I lost the British title. I remember getting out of the ring, looking at the Lonsdale belt, thinking I'll be back for you. I'm coming back, and now going back to the Echo. I'm thinking I'm going to get my belt, and then I'm looking forward to moving on. It's sort of like redemption for me, if that makes sense. But I do it because I enjoy it, but there's also a bit of redemption about that belt and coming together.
I can't say I'm a massive boxing fan. I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way, but when you're on the outside looking in, you look at people and they've got no notes in that loss column, but then it doesn't mean they're a better fighter than someone like yourself who's got that one, because that's at times that's a gripe I have with boxing. You look at it and you think something's not right here, and I don't mean things getting fixed, but people getting pushed in a certain direction so that they make sure they don't lose fights. Do you look at that one and just think, I'll learn from that, I have learned from that, and it's going to give me that motivation to make sure I do get where I want to go?
Yeah, I've had 19 fights and I've won 18, and I learned more from the one loss than I did all the rest of the fights. And don't get me wrong, I've boxed a lot of Marticans, people who you have to fight, journeymen coming up, and it is frustrating, and when you're watching the telly and people have paid for good money to watch the bills, and they're fighting to Marticans, so that can be frustrating sometimes, but that's your learning curve, and you need them people as well. They say that journeymen make boxing. Without them, what would we learn and stuff like that? So it swings in both ways.
That could be a new tomato. Just standing against smashed everywhere. That could be boss. I could just do my little wage. It's practically being on the taxis anyway, so might as well. Obviously we live in a city where at the moment it's fantastic boxing wise. There's a few on the bill. On the 6th of March in the Echo Arena, we've got the Smiths, we've got Tony Bellew, we've got David Price, we've got Derry Matthews, we've got all these names. Now, I'm sure it's fantastic because you can get on a card like this, but you'd ever feel slightly lost amongst them because you are from Liverpool and you've got all these big names ahead of you, or are they all there to aspire to?
It's nice to be the big fish in a small pond, or I don't know whether it's small fish in a big pond, I don't know, but you have to also sell tickets. That's a big part of boxing. And if you can't sell tickets, these selling tickets to all your mates and you can't sell none, and you won't be pushed really, do you know what I mean? You have to also see that side to it, but what not many people do see.
Yeah, so obviously, if you're on a fight, obviously you've got like one of the Smiths on this fight, Derry Matthews, who are going to bring people in. then the pressure's off, I suppose. You can just go and have a fight and know that the Echo Arena should be full.
You still sort of still have to, you still got to sell your tickets, you know what I mean? That's what I think maybe that's what he might have meant a little bit like. We sort of say we know same people, so I'll ask people if they want to buy tickets and they'll let know what have they bought them off Jazza, you know what I mean? See you there.
I'll sell you for 25 and stuff like that.
Steve, I mean, are you looking forward to this, you know, fighting in your own city, and do you get that, does it give you that buzz? Obviously your mates are there and probably travel anyway wherever you go to fight, but does it mean a bit more fighting there?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I was on the last show in the Echo Arena. I was on quite late, like, so hopefully it won't be on as late this time, but it is good. It's good for me to be on a big bill as well, because I'm probably the least fairest in my career on the whole bill. It's a good bill for me to be on and look up and think, I want to be top on a bill like this, you know what I mean?
How do you prepare for that? You know, when you see these bills and obviously people going on early in the night and if you're on later, how does your pre-fight routine change with it? You know, depending on where you're at, or doesn't it?
I mean, it doesn't really. You've just got to, as soon as you get in there, you've got to be ready to fight whenever, you know what I mean? Like when I was on last, Jazza was fighting as well, and so was Kevin Satchel. So I was in and out watching them both. Yeah, I didn't get in the ring for like 12:30. You've taken the ring down as I was fighting, you know what I mean? Yeah, I was on dead last though. I was still dead, you know what I mean? It was alright, get it and got to win. But yeah, it's good.
Do you get a chance to see, say like Jazza's fighting earlier, or if Steve's fighting before you? Do you ever, you know, do you get a chance to watch it, or does that take you out of your headspace that you need to be in?
No, I mean, as long as there's enough time for you to get yourself ready before your fight, you can always pop out and have a look, you know what I mean? But if it was on next, I wouldn't be able to put my gloves on outside the ring waiting to go in. But
there's something called float as well. When you get in there, they say you're on float, your first float or second float. That means you get in on a slot. So if they say, right, we've got 15 minutes now, you can go on for the 4-round fight. So they put your wraps on at 6 p.m. and you mightn't get in the ring till like 12:30 in the night. So if you're on float, you can't watch the fights, can you?
No.
Is there ever an occasion when you're maybe on a bill but you don't get to fight because of the time of like maybe the main event goes like over or whatever, and you are supposed to be on after them, you just don't get to fight?
Yeah, I mean, I have had a 6-round cut down to a 4-rounder.
Yeah.
I don't know if they take the whole fight off.
Just takes it all
depends.
It's like
yeah.
Moving on to football, like obviously because that's what we're here for mainly. I mean, it hasn't been a great season for it. Well, it's been in and out for Everton, let's be honest. Europa's been great, and then league. We come back to league and it's rubbish. Steve, you've got a season ticket, so you might know a little bit more about this. But how have you found this season?
Shocking compared to last season, but you know, I don't know within the Europa League as well. We've been playing well in there, but then just not doing it in the Premier League. So I don't know.
Do you still get the buzz from going to the match now that you're in boxing and you get yourself hyped up for the night? So you know, you say fighting in front of your own crowd. Do you still get the hype from going to Goodison? You know.
I mean, yeah, not as much as you used to, obviously, because you're not in the same position as what you was last season. But still looking forward to watching the match. But my hopes aren't as high as what they were.
Jazza, I read something about you saying that you've sort of lost the love for football. I mean, you said when you were a kid you were a big blue, but you sort of lost the love for that. And you know what? We're seeing that more and more. And what's it been for you? You know, that sort of sparked that off.
I don't know. Football was my first love. I always enjoyed football, playing with the lads around the area and stuff like that. Played till I was under 15s, and when I got into winter, I fell out of love with it. I just fell in love more with boxing. So when I do go to game now, it's frustrating for me because no one throws a punch. So I do just still like going now and again, and I like watching matches today, but it's not a big passion for me no more. But I still do enjoy
when you go and you do see the things that go on, you know, players falling over with a little bit of contact and the position you're in, and I suppose being, let's just say, coming into boxing, and you may have a few more little sly elbows going on in your boxing fights, and maybe the highest of the highs. I mean, what does that make you feel like when you see that?
It's sickening, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what does my head in. I can understand why people do fall out of love with football because of things like that, but it's just part of the game now, isn't it?
And as well, being boxers and being, as you say, we spoke about all the time, being in the city, you've got that connection. Is that another thing within football? We're starting to see less of a connection with the players on the pitch and the people in the stands, obviously the different levels of financial and also for you lads, you have got to start at the bottom and work your way up, and it is a job and it is sport, whereas you're watching football and you feel like people are looked after from like a kid all the way up. You know, that must be a little bit frustrating as well.
One of the things for me was the grassroots. You see a lot more foreigners now. I enjoyed football as a kid, playing on the field with my mates, and one of us would get took in by a club, and that was nice. I'd like to see that a lot more, looking after our own kids instead of the foreigners when we get to a certain age and stuff. Yeah,
we're seeing a lot more like investment going abroad, and you know, when there's plenty of kids in the city who've probably been overlooked. I mean, especially some clubs, it's like a meat wagon. I've seen Chelsea today have sold one of the Hazards, and they've got a markup of 1,500% on them. I mean, that just shows you how football's going. It's getting ridiculous. But as I say, it's the 6th of March. It is at the Echo Arena. Any numbers to plug? Have you got anything? You know, how can people get tickets with this fight? Through you, just come and see you.
Just through the Twitter, on Twitter.
Go on, what's your Twitter account so people can follow you?
Mine's
as well?
at Steve6Lewis. That's what it was.
And mine's at Jazza Dickens 10.
Get on there, follow them. They'll try and flog you some tickets, I'm sure.
Before we go, before we go, just the training. I'm just like curious about your training, because we hear about these footballers being tired if they have to play 3 games a week, and we know they get massages and saunas and everything else rubbed down in between. Just give us an example of your day's training. You've both been obviously working towards a fight, so what have you done today, basically?
We've got up this morning, went on our normal session in the gym, like we do the CrossFit, but I'm not doing that tonight. I've still got to do my run tonight, and then that's it for me Monday. So I've got going down to Manchester in the morning, sparring, and then be coming back and doing my CrossFit again. That's every day. We haven't got no one to rub us down in the gym.
So it's no 2 hour bit of jogging and yoga then, no, and Jazza,
I got up, got a manicure. No, same as Steve. We all do the same camp together. I do a bit longer because I'm in a fight with more rounds, but just the same really, you know.
You got 12 rounds of sparring, so what you were saying? So.
Yeah, 12 rounds of sparring in the morning, so we just go to the gym. Every day is different, that's why the gym's so good. Got brilliant coaches and good people around us, and we can leave that side up to them. You know, we just focus on the training, so we're all happy in our gym.
And that's Everton Red Triangle gym, isn't it? Just as well, I mean, there's a lot of people out there. I mean, a couple of years ago I was looking at it because, you know, you're looking at the training and all that. I mean, is that a kind of gym you can just walk in if you want and be taught as a kid, or, you know, can anyone is that for anyone, or is it mostly for kids and then fighters like yourself?
I think it's 7-year-olds, the coaches. They're in there all day. They're in there from 9 till about 2, and then they're back in from 4 till 8 p.m. So the coaches are in there all day long. They've got kids from 7 to about 10, and then 10-year-olds to senior. That can be any age. That's amateur, and then you've got the professionals as well. So they don't get a minute themselves. But they are good coaches. If you're sending your kids anywhere, I'd advise it to be a Red Triangle, because they have got good coaching down there.
And ambitions, lads. Come on, think big, dream big. You said it before, but what's the overall ambition? Is it to be world champion?
It's got to be, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
follow the dream.
And a night out in Vegas.
Yeah. We all like that.
After your fight, that's what we all want. Last question, just something that just popped into my head. I don't know if you do it already, but what's your music when you come in?
I change, man. If the radio's still there, if you haven't took it down, because my last fight, but I haven't got a set song.
No?
Just something
anything you'd want, anything you'd really want though. Forget cars, everyone has cars.
Jobs.
Feel tempted to say Z-Cars now, but
it's only lend them your song. Is there anything for you? Any song that you'd already use, or maybe something that hypes you up before you go out? Never mind a ring walk.
My one's Peter Gabriel, Salisbury.
Oh, I love that song.
It was either or Acqua, Barbie girl.
After your manicure.
Yeah.
Right, big thanks to the lads, Jazza and Steve, for coming in. They are fighting Echo Arena, 6th of March. Make sure you get down there. Make sure you follow them on Twitter. Make sure you just give them all your support. They had a couple of blues as well, so you know that makes the difference. This has been Toffee TV from Baz and from me, Ped. We'll catch you next time.